6 years ago, I was sitting out with some friends in New York City when I got a notification on my phone, and I was surprised to find that I had a text message from my grandmother. I was surprised because my grandmother at the time was 78 years old, and she had never sent a text before. And I will tell you, the first text was adorable. It read, "Dear Andrew, trying out texting, love your grandma." It's like, aw, she thinks it's a letter. So I sent her a message back. I was like, "Hey, Grandma, it's a text. You don't have to include all that." Her response was, "Dear Andrew." Okay, love your grandma. My favorite part is that it's always love your grandma. Like if it was love grandma, I'd be confused. If it was like, "Dear Andrew, have a good time in Texas. Love grandma," I'd be like, "Grandma? Who's grandma?" Right, but my grandmother's still figuring some things out. A couple of years ago, I went to Switzerland for some work, came back, sent a message to my grandmother. I was like, "Hey, Grandma, I just got back from Switzerland." Her response was, "Dear Andrew, Switzerland, ? WTF." All right, so I called my grandmother up and I was like, "Grandma, what do you think WTF means?" And she was like, "Oh, well, someone at Bridge told me it means, wow, that's fun." I was like, that is exactly what it means. So I'm not going to explain that to my grandmother. But over time, I've come to realize that I think the world would be a happier place if more people thought WTF. If more people were like my grandmother and thought, wow, that's fun. Because in 2012, I left my corporate job at Procter & Gamble to teach people about the value of humor. I've worked with more than 35,000 people at more than 250 organizations on how to be more productive, less stressed, and happier using humor. But when people hear what it is that I do, they are a little bit skeptical. Because no one thinks of humor as a bad thing. Is there anyone here that doesn't like to laugh? Anyone that's like, "No, I hate feeling joy in my body"? No, right? People think of humor as a nice to have. Oh, if I enjoyed my work more, or if I had some fun, it would be great. But if not, oh well. The reality is that humor is a must-have. And today is overworked, underappreciated. And if it's a skill, that means we can learn it. Because I am someone who has had to learn how to use humor. Because I've done over 1,000 shows as a stand-up comedian, improviser, storyteller, spoken word artist. I've spoken or performed in all 50 states, in 18 countries, and on one planet. I have fans in more than 150 countries based on people who have accidentally come to my website. I've been called hilarious and smart, at least that's what my mom says. Right? And I've been seen on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart in the audience. I recently went to my high school reunion, though, and when people found out that I did stand-up comedy, they said, "But you're not funny." And in some ways, they were right, because I would tell you that this is not the face of funny. Right? There is a lot that's funny about this picture. None of it is intentional. Right? I have the blonde tips up top like I wanted to be in a boy band. Right? The theme was Into a Dream. I am no one's dream in this picture. Because growing up, I was never the life of the party or the class clown. My senior year, my senior superlative, I was voted teacher's pet. And this is going to surprise many of you, but it's because I am a nerd. And if you're wondering what type of nerd, the answer is yes. Computer, math, sci-fi, Dungeons and Dragons, Star Wars, Star Trek, Starbucks, all of them. But most specifically, I'm an engineer. I went to The Ohio State University, got a degree in computer science and engineering, and after I graduated, I started working at Procter & Gamble as an IT project manager. And that's what people expected me to do, because based on my personality assessment, that's what it suggests I should be, as a computer science engineer. But I have learned that we're not a personality assessment, because my assessment is I'm a type A, blue square, conscientious INTJ with the sign of Aquarius. Because a couple of months ago I posted, "I'm trying to decide if I should become an athlete or a criminal, so I made a list of pros and cons." My grandmother's response was one word: funny. I was like, I don't know. Does she think it's funny or is she messing with me? A couple weeks later I posted, "I think a cozy bar that serves figs would make for a plum date spot." My grandmother's response was, "Ha, comma, ha." And there's like something about the comma, and I'm like, she's messing with me. Then a couple weeks ago, I posted, "Converting the numbers 51, 6, and 500 to Roman numerals makes me livid." My grandmother's response was, "Hey, this one is actually good." trolled by my own grandmother. It doesn't matter your age, your income, your perspective, your personality assessment, your senior superlative, or your celebrity doppelganger. Anyone can learn to be funnier. And it all starts with a choice to try to find ways to use humor, a choice to be like my grandmother, to look at the world around you and think, WTF. Wow, that's fun. Thank you.